Hello everyone, I'm NTom64.
And I'm MBM.
And welcome to the Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Oh man, we haven't done a Zelda LP in about 100 years. Roughly the length of time between Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, I think, actually.
Basically, and honestly, you guys can blame that on me. I accept full responsibility for us not doing a Zelda game for a while. I kind of got burnt out, so I apologize.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of the reason why we're doing Spirit Tracks instead of Phantom Hourglass. And Tom had to pull all the strings and basically had to pick my favorite handheld Zelda game to get me to come back to do this. So here we are, we're doing Spirit Tracks. Fuck Phantom Hourglass, because this game is so underrated and is such a great Zelda game that I'm so hyped for this playthrough.
I know a lot of people won't agree with that. You might be able to, come to terms on the fact that it's got great dungeons, a great tone. The Zelda in this is probably the best Zelda to date, not counting Breath of the Wild, which we will probably get to at some point in 2018, but it'll most likely be a live LP. But the rest of it, that seems to be the sticking point. So while the game rattles off, the typical, once upon a time in a world far away sort of thing, I'm going to give you a bit of the development cycle for Spirit Tracks, and I'm just going to rattle off Wikipedia here just so part 1 goes nice and fine.
But I knew that story already, Tom.
No, it is me. I am the one. The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks was directed by Daiki Iwawa. You know what you say? I can't be fucked reading Wikipedia now.
Daiki Iwamoto. So a lot of this team is going to be the exact same people as the Phantom Hourglass folks, which is a good and bad thing, because it really does seem like they learned their lesson from Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass, they were really trying to just explore the DS more as a console, which is why it has all those weird little touching gimmicks, but what I like is that they learned from it, and they incorporated all of the mistakes and all of the controls that didn't quite work exactly like as intended with Phantom Hourglass, and they fixed it. Like, this game shows progress on the development side as a whole for the whole handheld Zelda team.
Yeah.
One thing I really do like too is that, much like older Zelda games, the difference between the English and the Japanese name actually shows a lot about like the development as well, because in the Japanese, it's not Spirit Tracks, it's actually Train Whistle for the Wide World, or Train Whistle of the Earth. And it does show that they kind of wanted to hint at the pan flute that we're going to get later, but there's also the train whistle, and the fact that they really wanted to go for a theme of a wide open world, like a new world.
Yeah.
Even parts of the game, in the English version, they're called realms. In the Japanese, it could also roughly translate to the wide world of the forest, wide world of the ocean. So even though it's a handheld game, they wanted to put a lot of focus in like the vastness of a world that they could put onto that console.
Aonuma suggested that they not use a boat in this title, because he wanted to retain the sense of seeing land become clearer as Link approaches it. He had to find an appropriate replacement for the boat. He cites a book called Senro wa Suzuki, The Tracks Go On and On, a book loved by his son for inspiring the inclusion of a train. He discusses how, in the book, children construct railroad tracks, also doing things such as creating tunnels or bridges when they find mountains or rivers. Aonuma felt that this book felt like it would fit with the series, though he did not tell the other developers about it. He later suggested that they use a train and allow players to lay the tracks themselves. However, the latter idea was described as a nightmare by Aonuma due to how players would not know where to lay tracks, and how the story had to restrict players from going to certain places. Developing the train travel system took roughly 1 year to complete. The mechanic was fixed by making it so that the train tracks were always there but had disappeared, requiring players to repair them. That's a big part of Spirit Tracks, in which you have to restore the Spirit Tracks, and get ready to see a lot of returning Zelda faces from Wind Waker, although in a completely different context. Like, we have Nico here, he's the same dude from Wind Waker, but this is actually the descendant of one of the pirates.
See, Spirit Tracks is going to deliver on the promise made by Wind Waker that this is the new world, this is the new Hyrule, this is what could essentially springboard into a whole subdivision of the Zelda timeline.
Yeah.
Is Hyrule 2. And another real cool thing about this game too, that I was talking about it as a sequel to Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, Wind Waker 2, but It kind of is really similar development-wise to another really big sequel in the Zelda franchise, Majora's Mask. In the sense that they both had really short development cycles, and I feel like because of that, like, a lot of really creative, unique ideas came out of this. You're gonna see that Spirit Tracks, and it's one of the things I love about it, is gonna do things that you never would expect another Zelda game to do, or other Zeldas just were kind of scratching or hinting at, but Spirit Tracks goes all out to try and be weird and different. Not quite in the dark, horror type way that Majora's Mask was, but more in that it kind of subverts a lot of Zelda tropes.
Yeah,
and I love Spirit Tracks for that.
All right, let's get to it. You've probably known about the sticking point when it comes to the Zelda DS game controls schemes by now. You don't use the D-pad, you got to use the stylus to move about. And I guess this is annoying to some people. I don't know. I found it just fine. How did you get to grips with the stylus control mode?
I'm fine with them because, again, they actually did improve them. I know one issue with Phantom Hourglass was that in order to do the roll, you had to physically draw a circle, which was super inaccurate with Phantom Hourglass, but in this game, they fix it, and the roll is a double tap. So, just based off that alone makes me hate the controls less, because you can see that they thought about it, effort was made into it, and changes were made. So, you can't honestly hate the controls that much. They're an improvement.
You may notice, if you're, American, that some of the names have been localized for the PAL version, which we're playing. I believe this place is called Aboda Village in other localizations. Here it's just, a reference to Outset Island, which, it fits for a Wind Waker sequel.
It's just kind of weird that they only did it for the PAL region. I can understand doing it for all American or all English versions, but it's kind of weird that just that one region would throw that reference in. I mean, it's a welcome reference, but it's just kind of weird when one region gets an entirely different set of names.
Yeah.
Why? What was the point? Were you trying to confuse people? Is this your end game, Nintendo? To disseminate misinformation?
They're trying to get rid of LPs altogether, because Flame actually helped me record the first draft, if you will, of this footage, and we got a bit confused over the names and whatnot, and then the footage ended up desyncing, so I had to record this all on my own, and I basically did a speed run of it, cutting corners where I needed to, trimming the fat, as it were, and man, I wish I could get 20 quid just for picking up some rocks IRL, that'd be great.
It's not, she didn't pay you for the labor of lifting the rock, she paid you as the service so that she is no longer homeless. She can go back to her house.
What, you can't climb over the rocks or live under the rocks? Use your imagination here.
This is Zelda land, alright? No one is an able body except our protagonist.
Alright, I'm just gonna come out and say this. I am as close to a train spotter as you can be without physically being a train spotter. I love trains. I love riding along the tracks. So something about just the transportation system of this game clicked with me in a way that it never really did with Phantom Hourglass's kind of steamboat sort of thing. I just enjoyed the comfy atmosphere of riding along to my next destination.
My favorite thing about the train, not my favorite, but one of the best things when the game was in development and information was being released and stuff, was how mad people got at the idea of a train being in Zelda games. Which was hilarious, because everyone was totes fine with all the steamboats that were in Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. Because, history lesson, the steam-powered locomotive was invented before the steam-powered boat. So if you're okay with steamboats, you gotta be okay with steam trains, because they came first. And it's so funny, too, because it was, the same people that are usually the people that are oh, man, I want a steampunk Zelda, or I want a modern-day or future Zelda, but then as soon as you throw a train into the mix, oh, no, where's my fantasy? It's it's still there, dude! Trains are fucking old!
Well, you may be generalizing a bit there. I think I can put a bit of context into that. I think it's more... Well, it's less the train itself and more the fact that there's not really a proper overworld in between destinations here, which, I guess you could say Phantom Hourglass always also had that same problem, but I guess there you had a bit more freedom with the steamboat. I don't know. I just prefer the train. Also, the proper overworld theme is good. It's good!
Right. The soundtrack for this game is great. And I feel like they were pushing the limit of the DS in terms of instrumentals too, just because this soundtrack is going to focus a lot on string instruments, a lot of percussion instruments, and it's really different from other Zelda franchises. Like, even if someone doesn't know Zelda games too well, most people can pretty much hear a song and know that it came from Spirit Tracks. Like,
yeah,
just the entire instrumental, the tempo, the key signatures, everything is so unique about Spirit Tracks. That's why I love this game so much. Even if it's not perfect, even though there are issues, just the fact that it's not the same thing again. And on a handheld, like, it's such an underdog game that just is out there to impress you, and I love it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at your gushing of one of your favourite games, but you said it's not the same game, that just instantly put me in mind of Reggie. It's not Wind Waker. It's not the same game.
Thank God.
I mean, it's not. It's got a train for one thing. 7 out of 10 IGN and all that good shit.
NTom, it's the choo-choo! The choo-choo, NTom!
No, don't say Tom in relation to trains, okay? I had to put up with that shit all throughout my childhood, and it's amazing I like Spirit Tracks as much as I do to this day. Get off the fucking tracks. Got a princess to see.
Like, how can you not love the game mechanic where you can just blow your train whistle? Like, it's literally so important that they were totes cool making that the Japanese title. Like, that's how important this train whistle is. It's so much fun to blow it.
How do you feel about being stuck on a track, though, and that you can't draw your own, like, train tracks? Do you think that works well in the end, or would you have preferred more freedom?
I like the train tracks, just because it's a different mode of transportation. Like, it fits the time period. Like, when you go from point A to point B, you take one road routes. But the world is big enough, there's enough places to visit on these train tracks that it makes up for it. There is exploration. It just happens that game from point A to point B is, you know, it's streamlined. And yeah, it's brought to just the one track, but that's how you travel nowadays. You know, you travel on the one road to get to a place, and then you explore said place.
Very true, very true. I'm not really sure what these other trains are doing on the track, because they just seem to be going in like a circuit. But, you know, this is a training course, and we've got to make sure not to bump into them. And you can't see it now, but we will have, like, a life meter later on, which you can upgrade by upgrading the train itself. I'm not entirely sure if I'll go for, like, an endgame train build, but, I'll look up how to, like, upgrade my train and whatnot, because I want to get fancy. You know NTom has to roll with style.
Right? Gotta ride the fanciest trains. Can't have that Amtrak crap.
Hell yeah.
Seriously, US trains are kind of lame. And I feel that with the train tracks, the later mechanics that they introduce, it makes it engaging enough. I know that that's probably what most people were worried about, was that, you know, traveling from point A to point B wouldn't be engaging, but this game throws enough to where it got to a point towards the end of the game, it was like, how can I get to point A to point B the easiest way? I don't know. Like, it got kind of stressful. It gets kind of stressful just riding on train tracks, so good for you, Spirit Tracks. You done good.
Yeah, we will have to get loosey-goosey with the commentary later on, because there is a lot of train riding in this game, and if you don't fucks with that, then you don't fucks with me, so pledge to the Patreon, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that.
It's alright, because I'm sure we've got plenty of train stories, stories about trains, stories of where trains go, and all these other things.
Ah yes, the beautiful Spirit Tower. Oh, it's not going to be in one piece for long, I can assure you of that.
No, there is no One Piece. That's the pirate game.
Was that the working title for Phantom Hourglass? Are you trying to lead me on a ruse cruise here?
On a ruse cruise? I don't know. I couldn't think of a train anime. Bakano. I guess that's like, it takes place halfway on a train. And then the other half is just in speakeasies.
There is also the train arc in Part 5 of JoJo. Fucking when, by the way? I'm kind of getting tired of waiting at this point.
The train arc. I'm all about that prison arc, bro.
Oh, Part 6. That's going to be really interesting to see. And I can't wait for my great-great-grandchildren to check out Part 7. That'll be a treat. I'll live vicariously through them.
Grandpa, tell us all about JoJo. Well, kids, a long time ago, shit got real.
You got 2 weeks to spare? I literally talk about nothing else. Oh, we're going to be a great engineer one of these days, Mexi. I can feel it in my giblets.
I mean, it's all part of the whole legend and mystique of being a video game protagonist. We're just destined for greatness.
Alright, let's go see the princess and get our certificate, I suppose. I don't know why we have to go through this rigorous training sort of thing when there seems to be like 50 people total in the land of New Hyrule, but you know, safety first.
Yeah, well, I would rather prefer that my trains be engineered by certified engineers than just any random hooligan. Like, would you want to be in a train piloted by this postman dude? The guy's crazy, alright? He thinks he's riding trains when he isn't.
Oh, I love what they do with this guy here. Don't be shy, say hello. This'll be a treat. Uncle Postman, giving you mail while you eat.
Why do I have to talk to the box? You're right here. Also, the characters are all charming in this game too.
Back in the old days of Wind Waker, you know, in that far-off savage land, we just used to tell you about your mail, but here, we just give it to you. I guess we got sued a lot. It's nothing, it's fine.
See, that's the Zelda game I want to play, the ramifications on the postal service. I want to play the Zelda where I'm the postman.
Alright, off he goes to be a train. Let's hope we don't literally run into him on the tracks, that'll be awkward.
It'd be messy.
Yeah. Alright, let's check out the mail, and that'll bring us to the end of this part of Zelda Spirit Tracks. We're going to put up about 2 or so a day, so it will run alongside Sonic Forces, so enjoy that juxtaposition, I suppose. Be nice to the postmaster. He's trying as hard as he can. See you next time for more Spirit Tracks.